Welcome to the PooCast Podcast with your hosts,
Browne
and Pickering. Welcome to the very first PooCast Podcast, the first of many, hopefully, discussing the ins and outs of the human body. And hopefully we're going to get to the bottom of things for a happier, healthier you. I'm Browne Pickering.
and I'm Kaye Browne.
And I'm Jocelyn Watts. Thank you for joining us.
Now, look, you got it right. It's Watts, Browne and Pickering, all right? Pun is definitely intended. And thank you, Jocelyn, from Jocelyn Magazine. That's right. Coming in to help us out to get to the bottom of things, all right?
Nice to see you. Hey, listen, everyone. Hopefully the name got your attention, and you'll definitely hear a little double entendre from time to time, just for fun. But what goes on down there doesn't get talked about too much, and it's really one of the last big taboos. But the reality is our gut health is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
And frankly, number twos can tell us a lot about our health. Don't worry, we're going to tell you about ours.
Yeah. Look, but the PooCast Podcast is much more than just kind of talking about, number twos. We'll be talking with the latest in medical science and all kinds of things, how it affects not only our waistline, but our brains. In fact, I'm amazed that people don't realise how much food actually affects their brains and what happens.
And their mental well-being,
Yeah.
how good you feel depends on what you've been eating.
And what we feed our pets, let's not forget this, because we used to do a show called Pet Talk Radio, how it affects our pets and how they can have a healthier lifestyle too.
You know, when you first mentioned this to me, I thought what a great idea.
It is. It was my idea. Yeah.
Yeah, gut health has been ignored for way too long.
Yeah.
And then I remembered, well, my mother was a home economics teacher, and she's been preaching this to me since when I was in the womb. So it is something that's very important to me. I've always had a strong interest in health food and everything that goes through you. But with so many ultra-processed foods and fast foods around, it's definitely getting harder to eat well these days.
And it's very confusing as well, isn't it? Because there's a lot of conflicting information out there.
Oh, definitely.
Even from the experts. I mean, not all the experts agree, so it's a hard one.
Yeah. We're not experts, by the way, but we do know how to find them. Both Jossie and I are journalists who've been in the industry for a very, very long time. Brian's caught up, but that's okay.
Yes, I'm a thorn between two roses, okay?
We can help you with getting, I guess, the right experts to, work our way through all this conflicting information out there. And I think you're going to enjoy what we've got for you.
Absolutely. So, look, one of the things is, you've had a few issues, haven't you, which has made you kind of discover what we're trying to do?
Yeah, okay. Very quickly, my background, my father was a pastry chef. So in our house, there weren't apples, there were cupcakes, right? I used to take bags of cakes to school. It was very popular, and swap them for other people's homemade cookies. And I think your mother made great homemade cookies.
No.
That weren't as bad.
Really?
Oh, I wasn't allowed to have cookies. She did have, no. Or if we did have anything that was a cake related or biscuit related, it had to have nuts or fruit in it. And if she made them at home, it would be half the amount of sugar as opposed to whatever the actual.
She must be full of the time.
So healthy.
She must be full of the time.
But before her time. But she was an advocate of Lady Cilento, the Phyllis Cilento, lady behind the Lady Cilento Hospital in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And she followed almost everything she said. And
That's got you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Perhaps we can get Jossie's mum on the program at another time. But we already have a lot of really cool people coming up in this episode, and we hope you'll stick around, because this is what we want to do, is to, demystify all the myths about what you can and what you can't eat, right? And make it easier, plus throw in some recipes. I love cooking, Brian loves cooking, you love cooking. And I used to think I cooked fairly healthily, but apparently it wasn't healthy enough. What happened with you, Big?
Well, about 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes after we travel in a caravan at the moment. And I kind of had a little failure. Hypo, what they call a hypo, but a failure. I fell over. And ultimately, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, that means that's high blood sugar levels or the blood glucose is not happening. I don't know. You're the expert.
Well, thanks to the libraries around Australia, I'm getting there. I'm not an expert yet. And so we did talk to a dietitian. We got good advice on diet. And now Brian's in remission, which is fantastic.
I don't take any medications at all. It's all down to diet and exercise. So keep that in mind. You don't have to be embarrassed by the condition. A lot of Australians, as we know, have they're what we call pre-diabetes, pre-diabetic. It's not just to do with weight, is it? You mentioned that the other day.
That's correct. Yeah.
So, just keep an eye on things and go and get regularly checked with your doctor is really what I'm trying to say.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it was very lucky that Brian got picked up, not by the doctor.
Although she's quite cute, this dietitian, but anyway, that's another story.
However, we have lots of great things coming up, and before we do...
Oh, hang on a minute. Before we do, that's my line. I'm supposed to say that. All right, before we do, here's Kaye Browne with she's going to put on her news hat. She used to be a newsreader years ago, long story. She's going to do a little bit of news for the PooCast Podcast News Break.
Old habits die hard. Now, what's making news right now? A small town in country Victoria has temporarily changed its name to help publicise the fact that February is National Gut Health Month. That's right. Poowong is now Poo Right.
What?
Well, at least for a few weeks, with dietitians giving the town's residents some simple tips to improve their gut health, which research shows will improve not only their overall health, but also improve their mental well-being. But you can imagine the townspeople from Poowong are pretty much used to having to explain their unusual name, but being the butt of way too many jokes. Now they're taking advantage of the free tips on improving their meal choices in hopes that even when they get back to being Poowong, they'll be even better Poo Right.
I bet all those little innuendos and whatever in there. You put those in.
You're in.
All righty. Next story. What have we got?
Right. Do you have a job that involves long periods of time sitting at a desk?
Me, and you.
The World Health Organization says between 65 to 80% of the world's population is now considered sedentary.
Yeah.
With all this sitting around, doubling our risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. That's a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, it is actually, yeah.
Since it's highly unlikely we're going to be inspired to become athletes overnight, researchers set out to find out the least amount of activity people could undertake to cancel out the risk of being a desk jockey. And they did. According to a report published in the American journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise, taking a break every hour was useful, but taking just a short walk between 2 and 5 minutes every 30 minutes significantly lowered both blood sugar levels and their blood pressure. The experts suggested setting an alarm to remind you to get up and move every half hour, restoring the blood flow to the legs, and over time, that's going to put less of a burden on your heart.
That's actually a good idea. So you get up and you can go to the fridge and get a drink.
Yeah.
Every half hour.
Yep. Cold temperature, isn't it?
This is water, definitely. Water. Yeah, please look. This is water.
Yeah. Every half hour, as Jossie said. Yeah. You weren't listening, were you?
Oh, okay. Anyway, thanks, KB. Well, look, if you've ever wondered what a dietitian actually... Do you know what a dietitian does?
I do.
Oh. Sorry. Wrong answer. Anyway. Do you know what a dietitian is?
Well, I've met a couple. So the thing is that, yes, we've got a rough idea, but a lot of people don't. So what we thought we'd do.
Yeah, is we'd get in touch with a dietitian. In fact, the dietitian that first looked after me after I'd had the type 2 diabetes diagnosed, her name is Caitlyn Henderson. And on the line right now, we have our very first guest who just happens to be a registered dietitian from Healthy Lifestyles Australia. Welcome, Caitlyn Henderson.
Hi, Brian and Kaye. Thank you for having me on today.
It's our pleasure.
Now, Kaye's going to be the one asking most of the hard questions, but I just want to start with an easy.
Hard questions.
I'm going to ask the easy one. What does a nutritionist and dietitian do?
Yeah, good question. That's a very broad question, but essentially a nutritionist or a dietitian, they're a little bit different, the two terms. Nutritionist is a little bit more general, so you can do a lot of work in the public health sector, you can provide some advice and work to develop I guess, nutrition plans. Whereas a dietitian can do a little bit more than that. We kind of work a little bit more in the medical world. So we provide like medical nutrition therapy to patients, as well as individual dietary counselling. And we also look into like food service management in hospitals and aged care facilities. So we do a lot of different things. But me personally, I'm pretty well working mainly in the private practice sector, so consulting individually with clients.
Well, with so many career options available nowadays, is there one special thing that prompted you to follow this path?
Yeah, so I guess I grew up in Far North Queensland in Cairns, and I worked for a dietitian by the name of Tara DeVersi, who's the president of the Dietitians Australia, which is our professional body at the moment. Essentially, I did some work for her during high school, and my younger sister also saw her as a patient for sports nutrition. So, yeah, I guess she kind of gave me some insight into the dietitian world, and that made me want to become a dietitian, and here I am.
Is it everything you thought it would be or more?
Yeah, I think it's more. So as, you know, when you first start figuring out what you want to do in high school or, when you're studying at university, you sort of have a rough idea of what dietitians do. But then as you start doing a bit more practical work and you're learning a lot more of the theory, there's so much, and there's so many wonderful, incredibly talented dietitians in Australia and in the world, and doing wonderful, amazing things. So, yeah, I think it's probably more than what I first imagined.
So you're in the top 5, are you?
The top, yes, we'll say that for sure.
Good on you.
So dietitians obviously don't get as much publicity as they should, although sort of there is increasing interest in diet and nutrition and health and lifestyles. But have you got any particular examples that stand out to you where you know you've made a difference?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. So I feel that poor old dietitians are given a bit of a hard time. There's a bit of a stigma around dietitians and coming to see a dietitian. And a lot of people come to me and they seem to think I'm going to take a lot of foods out of their diet and stop them from eating certain foods, which in actual fact is probably the opposite of what I'll be doing. So yeah, I feel like it's not that we get bad publicity, but we just probably don't get portrayed in the right way. So in terms of examples.
I threw that one at you with examples
of
our prior warning.
Yeah.
We just know that someone was miserable, they were in pain, maybe they had stomach aches, I don't know, or something. But
losing weight, want to lose weight?
Yeah, losing weight would be a lot of fake information out there, as a certain president in the US would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think fake news. I think the main thing I really enjoy doing for my clients is if they're coming to me and they're really stressed because they're trying all these diets to lose weight, tried everything, and they feel like they've failed everything because these, ridiculous diets are cutting out certain food groups and all the foods that they know to be normal and love and want to be including, they've been told they have to cut out. So it's just unrealistic. But then when they come and see me and we're able to include those foods in moderation and achieve a healthy diet, those are probably my favorite people, because they start to relax a little bit around food and it's not such a stressful thing trying to plan what to eat and making decisions around food. So not a specific example, but they're probably my favorites.
Yeah, okay, all righty. Now look, before we get on to people travelling, because that's obviously what Food, Wine, Pets Travel is mostly about, and the meals that we can do and whatever, very briefly, like vets, when they go to a party and someone says, oh, you're a vet, I've got this cat with a sore, this, that and the other, with a dog with a blah, blah, blah. So you go to a party and they don't know who you are. And what do you do for a living, Caitlyn? Oh, I'm a dietitian. Oh, well, look, I've just started this diet and that and blah, blah,
What's your pet ate? I think is where Browne's going.
Well, I think you just have to kind of take that with the profession. Is food and diet's a very popular topic of conversation.
I thought you were going to say with a grain of salt there.
No. So, I think I'm kind of used to it now, and I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm open to taking on board small questions, but when it's asking for meal plans and free advice,
here's my card. Give me a call on Monday. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
All righty.
We get that too.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Caitlyn. Caitlyn Henderson from Healthy Lifestyles Australia.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Well, now we all know what a dietitian actually does. Did that give you some insight?
It did. Probably a little more than I actually knew, but thank you.
Look, she's a cutie, that Caitlyn Henderson from Healthy Lifestyles Australia in Toowoomba, where we were when this event happened. So
I think you only like it because she said it's okay to have dark chocolate.
yeah, and she also said it's actually nice. It's okay to be naughty.
That's another story.
I'm sure she meant naughty with food, but anyway, there you go. Now listen,
Streams.
now checking out diets and things. People go, "Oh, it's a diet. I can't eat this. I can't eat that." But Jossie, you did a diet recently with the CSIRO called the 12-week CSIRO diet.
Total Wellbeing diet. Yeah.
You call it the CSIRO diet because it's easy to say. Of course, that's great.
Yeah.
But what was it about that attracted you to the diet? What made you do it?
I wanted to find out what it was like for someone to actually be on that diet. I've been familiar with it for quite a few years, and going back to when I worked at the Fraser Coast Chronicle back in 2005, we actually promoted under a program that was called Get It Off with the Chronicle.
Well, you know,
Right.
and you must have known.
There may be young people watching this, but yes.
What's getting off weight, is it?
Yeah, getting off weight, absolutely. And part of that, we promoted the very first CSIRO or CSIRO Total Wellbeing diet, which was this one.
Oh, okay.
Here, which,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been around forever, that one, isn't it? Yeah.
So I was, as part of my reporting job, I touted it to a lot of people and saying, and it all made sense to me because that was what I was raised with. It was very similar to it. But I actually wanted to try it for myself.
Yeah.
Find out what it was actually like, because I would like to lose, say, 6 kilos over the last few years.
It's always good to try these things yourself, though, isn't it? Rather than
Absolutely.
see what
Yeah.
TikTok's doing.
Absolutely. And I'm very pleased I did.
Yeah.
I think the upshot of the whole 12 weeks was that I hadn't actually eaten enough. And because I was eating so little, the CSIRO coach that I was talking to, or dietitian that I was talking to, she said it doesn't actually fill your body with enough nutrients in the right levels throughout the day to keep your blood sugar levels at the right.
So our body actually has a different communication system to our brain. Our brain says, to lose weight, I need to not eat so much.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
That's
this is
the
a
thing.
difference.
But in my case, it was I needed to eat more.
So had you done it the way they said and eaten more, you probably would have lost a little bit more.
Well, initially I actually put on weight
Yeah.
because I was eating actually more than what I was used to eating.
Yeah.
And
That's scary.
Well, it was. But the dietitian explained to me that, yes, because I'm eating more and there are more kilojoules within that content that you're eating throughout the day, it will put on your weight initially, but then as your body becomes used to the different or the correct or the scientific way of eating, it then says, okay, now I'm happy with what you're providing me with, and your metabolism speeds up a little bit, and it actually then takes the weight off.
Wow.
So, and that's absolutely what happened. It initially went up, and then it went down. However, overall, after 12 weeks, I still only lost 1 kilo, but I felt a whole lot better.
And I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt. The great thing is that you actually got your money back.
I did, yes.
Which is a process. So I guess they're trying to help. It's not a money-making thing.
No.
It's like you want to do the course, pay for it.
Yeah.
If you do it properly, we'll reimburse you the majority of your
That's correct,
funds.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So the CSIRO is Australia's national science body. So is this a private organisation or is this a government body?
Good question. I think it's government funded.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Trying to help us all be healthier.
yeah, that's
Cool.
correct, yeah.
Well, we'll have to get someone from there on the show as well. But you're living proof that it works, and you got your money back.
Absolutely,
Hey, and that's
and having only lost 1 kilo.
Yeah.
But that was because I'd stuck with the program and did what they suggested, and I registered my weight in every day, and once a week took a photo and completed the program as per their requirements.
Well, we've got some nice shots of you, which you'll be able to see hopefully behind us. And so, yeah.
Yes.
So, alrighty. So,
What's next?
what's next? Have you started another course, or what are you doing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm so convinced that the program works and the science is behind it. And again, it goes back to what I was raised with. So I guess that's the basis of it.
Your mum would be very happy.
She would.
She is.
She is.
And now you can also have cookies too. Biscuits as well.
They do allow cookies in this, so.
Hey. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Look, there's plenty of books. There's also, just very quickly, the CSIRO protein diet, and there's a whole bunch of books which you can get on our website, poocast.com.au. So just go to Prefer to Read, the link, and you'll see some of these books, and just go and get them off Amazon.com. Now, look, the next one's a bit of an experiment. We hope that these two sharing their favourite recipes over time, based on good nutrition, will be able to help you and your family and hopefully your pets, because Kaye's got this idea of dinners for Doggy and me, which we'll come up with at some stage in the future. But initially, we're going to be talking about Kaye's Caravan kitchen and her yummy, nutritious foods. So what do you got for us, KB?
Okay, a very quick one this week, only because everything needs to be quick in a caravan. You don't want to heat up a whole caravan and make it picky. Most people that I know in caravan parks, they have a grill and a barbecue outside, and they're doing sausages and steak and stuff. I can smell it. That's the worst thing about caravan parks.
Grill, yeah.
However, I prefer to do things in an air fryer, which is easy. It's in the annex outside, or on just in a pan inside, which is very fast. One of the fastest things that I've come across is making kebabs. I mean, what can go wrong with that? The best thing about it is if you do have a little dog next to you, if you happen to drop one of the little pieces of meat that you're putting onto the kebab, won't go to waste. So recently I did kebabs, chicken kebabs as it happens, with red peppers, which actually have more vitamin C than other fruits. And yes, red peppers are actually a fruit. They're not a vegetable, even though we think they are.
Yep.
All right. Hey, good tip. And they taste great. So you grill those, you have those with a nice healthy grain and salad, or steamed vegetables or air-fried vegetables. And nowadays, the big thing is to have what's called a pseudo-grain, buckwheat, quinoa, any of these things which are low-carb. And, excuse me, for those people that are doing low FODMAP, and we'll get into that another time, it's really important to really be looking at what we're eating, because what we eat now is very different from what our grandparents grew and we ate, and our great-grandparents grew.
Well, the soil's different too, isn't it? And all sorts of things, yeah.
Everything is in fast-forward motion, so farmers are being forced to grow things over and over in the same soil, whereas before they might have let it, sit fallow for a while.
Yeah.
And it gives it a chance to recover. So very interested in natural agriculture, if you can call it that, and I'm sure there's a term for it. Basically, it just means looking after the soil, feeding it with, compost and stuff like that. I just put a big bag of leftover vegetable scraps to put in the compost in our little caravan park. We're growing our own veggies, so why not?
That's good.
Give it a go.
Yeah. And look, just a reminder, none of us are experts. These two are great researchers. I just kind of help put all this stuff together. But also, I'm a little bit of a trial for this one here, my wife, Kaye, because she's testing
well so far.
Testing all these things out on me. FODMAP, we'll get into that another time. And I'm just pleased that the way it's going and everything's going. We're trying to keep things simple and give you some ideas, I guess, how to do your own research and trust certain experts, because it is confusing. There is confusing information out there, even for us, and these two are geniuses, what they do with research.
I'll get you an extra green bean for dinner.
Thank you. or a drink of resveratrol.
Oh, yes.
If you don't know what
Resveratrol.
resveratrol is, it's in red wine, but that's another story. Now, listen, that's it for the first episode of the PooCast podcast. We hope you'll join us again next time. Just go to our Facebook page. You'll find it there, PooCast Podcast, or poocastpodcast.com.au, and you can subscribe for updates, or Facebook will give you updates at any other time. So thanks for joining us. I'm Browne Pickering.
I'm Kaye Browne.
And I'm Jocelyn Watts.
See you next
We
time.
are
What's sorry,
Browne, and we are
Watts.
Browne.
Browne.
Ah. Take 2.
3.
Okay.
And we are
Watts.
Browne.
And Pickering. See ya.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining us today on the PooCast podcast. If you like what we do, please share. And remember, our stories are for general information only. Make sure you always seek advice from your registered health professional. And thanks again for listening.